Hey true believers, ENGLENTINE here with another edition of Marvel vs. DC Comics. Now the covers you're going to see passing by are the books that will be reviewed in this video, in this episode. This is the first episode since the new year. All these books were released January 3rd, 2018. Also, this is the first Marvel vs. DC episode I've done since Chef Jack left the channel, so it's all on me. Which made for some interesting reading, because some of these books I haven't seen since, I would have to say, what, March? Since me and Jack split everything. And he got all the X-Men, I got all the Spider-Man. So X-Men is brand new to me these days. But I tried to be as fair and as balanced, as they say, as I possibly could. Now, if for those who haven't ever seen one of these, it's very simple. Read all the books, reviewed them, and scored them. Simple process. 1 star is horrible, 2 stars bad, 3 stars average, 4 star is good, and 5 star is excellent. The average could be something I've enjoyed, but I just wouldn't put my reputation on it, so I put it in 3 stars. Or it's just something that I read it and it didn't really register. And granted, these are my opinions, and if you have a different opinion, I really love to hear it. Just don't say you missed the point. Just don't say, oh, you didn't get it. That is a cop-out. I want to hear your opinions on why you liked something more or less than I did. That would be awesome. So I think that's about all the explanation necessary. So kick back, relax, and here we go. The 1-star books are the worst of the worst, the truly bad, the horrible, the just walk away from, the do not buys. Iceman number 9. So, yeah. Let's start off with the cover being awesome, just because this is almost like fantasy fulfillment for the character anymore. Let's just put him out of his misery, and mainly it's because of Sin of Grace. Now, I gotta say, a lot of times I've said that I like America for the fact that it's incredibly bad. This book is just bad. It's not even over the top. I mean, granted, it has its moments, and I've pointed that out, but this book is just boringly bad. I understand that you want to make a book personal, but when you make it so personal, it can only appeal to those who know you. Yeah, then it really, you're dropping the ball. This is just, like I said, I've said it over again many times this review. It's just bad. Batman the Signal number 1. God, even reviewing this book is boring. I can't, there was like nothing of interest in this. I don't know I think it was only about 3 or 4 pages. I'm okay. Next, what's going on here? And then I just realized I have no fucking interest in any of this. I can't remember a book this short that took me 24 hours to read. I mean, I probably would have had a Marvel vs. DC video out last week had I not started with this, because this put me off of reading comics. I actually had to stop. It's so fucking bad. This is a really bad book. It's just, and it's drawn okay. It's truly in the writing. It's in the pacing. It's in the subject. I'm sorry. This is not a lead character. At least, not according to this book. The 2-star books are merely bad. They might have a saving grace from keeping them from being horrible, but they're not good. Astonishing X-Men number 7. I did not like this book. This is, it's a first chapter of something like a Professor X thing, A Man Called X. Yeah, that's right. So we have this young guy show up. He says he's Professor X, and he has killed the Shadow King in the astral plane. Then we get some bopping along with the Angel here and the other characters. There's a big green... It's just a mess. It really is. But what I found out is, however they're trying to write Professor X now, was just kind of dull. It's like pre-Professor X that we know, but it's not. It's cocky, and yeah, I don't know. It's like somebody who knows they're going to be great, and instead of being that, they're just arrogant. It was just an unenjoyable book, largely due to unenjoyable characters. Rogue and Gambit #1 is a bundle of missed opportunities. It starts off from just what I call writing for the tradesitis, where it's basically like this, 9 panels, yet only 8 dialogue boxes, and it just continues to go on like that. It really is half a book worth of story, and half of the book actually isn't about the story itself. It's just reminding us of the relationship between Gambit and Rogue, which could be done so quickly. So yeah, in the end, like I said, it's just a big missed opportunity. It's not very good at all. I wanted it to be, because I like Rogue and Gambit, but unfortunately they missed the target big time. The American Way, those above and those below #5. This was another one Chef Jack had, and I have no freaking clue what was going on. And, okay, come into this in issue #5. I know it's like 12 issues, so we're still on the low side of the books. It really seems like this book is so much more interested in the politics of the book than it is of the story of the book. And it's very much entrenched into the 1960s civil rights era being brought up to modern day. I mean, almost to the point where people are treating people the same way. So it's kind of ridiculous. The imagery is good. The art is great. And putting a different story to this art would actually be pretty cool. But the way it is, it just kind of left me flat, you know. I just don't buy into it. If they stuck in this, if they put the story in the 60s and they kept it in the 60s, it would make a lot more sense. But to say that relations have not changed in the last 50 years, to me, that's just ridiculous. Now, this may improve as it goes. Once again, I'm jumping almost right in the middle of the story. But as it stands, this just didn't impress me. Black Lightning #3. Now, admittedly, I did not read the second issue. It went to Jack while he was here. So picking this up, I gotta say it picked up exactly. I didn't need to read the second issue to find out where we were. It's a very simple story, and it's deep in the way that it talks about issues that face people today. It talks about how police will just gun down kids without giving them a warning, or a cop will just lay into a crowd mercilessly because he's nervous. I mean, forget about, oh my gosh, I shot one person. He'll lay out everybody. It's a hard world out there for people who are not like me, who are not white, and this book tells you all about it. This book is what we need right now.
Message.
Batman #38. Gotta say, it's kind of bold. They have a book with a cover title of The Return of Bruce Wayne, and it's not 22 pages of Thomas and Martha boning. Good job. Good job. So what else could be the origin of Bruce Wayne? Well, you know what? This is completely different. It's actually a little murder mystery. It doesn't work. It's not a good story. Good cover with a motorbike and all. Has nothing to freaking do with anything on the inside. This is one of the misses. I'm a Tom King fan. I like his writing, but here he just drops the ball. It's a mystery, but you have to consider the economy of characters. If you've got 4 characters and it's a murder mystery, you're going to have 1 misdirect, and 2 of the characters are Batman and Alfred. Guess who aren't the killers? So it's not like it's something that is impossible to solve, so you're waiting for the story to catch up with you, and then it just ends up being ridiculous. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not good, guys. The 3-star books, they're average. They either didn't register with me or I enjoyed them, but not enough to recommend them. Green Arrow #36. So, what to say about this one? It's decent. It's not amazing. It's not great. It's okay. The art is off. There's something, like, at first glance, you look at the art and it's like, oh, okay, well, it's not bad. It actually has some merit to it. Maybe I should talk about the covers more when I do these. Anyway, yeah, I mean, like, you can look at it and at first glance it's good, but then when you study it just a bit, like, the faces are off, or legs look too small for the bodies, or vice versa, or just weird poses for the characters. It's quite odd. There's a scene in here, though, that really bothered me, and that is when Black Canary gets mad at Oliver for wanting his money back. And she gets mad because she doesn't want him to be the man. And it really does seem like the whole reason he embraces his politics is to get the girl. And I would hope that the Green Arrow, while that would fit the character, actually stood for something, even if it was something I didn't agree with. Cyborg number 20. Now, I've got to be honest, I was not looking forward to this title. This is one that Jack had, and I was very happy for him to have it since Cyborg never impressed me, but I enjoyed this issue. I got to admit, I did. So there's a magic horn, gives you whatever you want, and everybody wants it. Cyborg has it. And mainly I like this book for one scene, and that's when Sarah dresses him down, because he's like, I just wanted to feel human. You know, and that would help people. And then she's like, bullshit. You just wanted to make yourself feel good. And then she names off all the people who have it worse than him. That, you know, yeah, he's in a robot body, but he could take on Superman. He's incredibly powerful. And she just, you know, kind of just shut the hell up. And then there's zombie kids. And, you know, you can't say much against zombie kids. Captain America 697. To me, Kraven the Hunter's dead. I'm sorry, but it's kind of funny. I'm like that. I'm like that with the Star Wars movies, too. There's no need for the prequels to exist. And for me, there's no need to have any Kraven the Hunter story after Kraven's Last Hunt. There isn't. I just, you know, refuse to acknowledge them. This is an incredibly average book. And I've seen it done a million times before. Aha, I captured you, Captain America. Now you've got to traverse this obstacle course, basically. That's all it is. And if you do, at the end, I give you your prize. And that's it. I mean, it really is just a boring book. I wish it was, hey, all right. It's not horrible. It's just there. It's like, yay, good job, you. You made a comic book. Let's stick it on the fridge. Now, it's got a great ending, which I think could lead to an intriguing story. I've heard a little bit. Everybody's heard about what's coming up. And, yeah, that could be good. It could be exciting, but this right here, nope. It's there. It's a comic book. Hawkeye number 14, Family Reunion. So we have Hawkeye meeting her mom, but it turns out not to be her mom. And then we have Clint Barton Hawkeye, real Hawkeye, trying to save her by using a clone of Kate Bishop Hawkeye. Guys, can we get Kate Bishop a real name? It is kind of getting ridiculous. Anyway, except for the fact that they play Clint Barton as an idiot, it's not incredibly bad. It's an average story. We've seen it done before. I did like the ending, but one problem, you know, we have a weird setup that somebody immediately acts exactly like somebody. Oh, they're going to act just like this when they really shouldn't have. So, I don't know. There's good elements. There's bad elements. Ultimately, I guess it's not bad, but yeah, it's okay, I'm talking myself out of it. It wasn't good. X-Men Grand Design number 2. So, I kind of caught a lot of heat for what I said about the last issue. But I stand by what I said in some points. Now, it's a catch-up. That's what this book is. It's just to tell you what happened with the Silver Age X-Men, basically, right on up to Giant Size X-Men number 1. And I really do believe this is a really good YouTube video put on paper. I mean, it's drawn okay. It's a cartoonist doing it, and it does look like it could be a cartoon. And it does its job fine. It's fun to read about what happened in the past, and it is basically the Cliff Notes. And it works on that level. But yeah, this really is a YouTube video put on paper. If you don't believe me, check out Comic Girl 19's X-Men history of. She basically does the same thing. Exit Stage Left, The Snagglepuss Chronicles number 1. What to say about this book? It is quite entertaining. It's well written. It's well drawn. It's good. but it's equally disturbing in places. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. I did do a full-length review of this, and I advise you to go check it out. It's, 6 minutes long, and I do talk about some of the things that bother me about it, as well as the fact that for its time, this works. It kind of mashes time up, as a matter of fact, and it's got a lot to do with civil rights movement. But it works with this character in the time frame they put him in, because he's in the 50s, 60s, and such. But they've got characters like Dorothy Parker, who was, around earlier. It's entertaining, but I really have to say be careful with this one. I liked it, but I don't know if anybody else would. X-Men number 19. Now, this is a book that I don't think I've ever really read. I did the first issue. And then when me and my brother, when he was here, split off, he got all the X-Men titles. I got all the Spider-Man. What can I say? It's enjoyable. It's entertaining. It's exciting. It manages to catch me up on everything. I didn't feel lost at all. I did feel that Kitty Pryde really should not be the leader of the X-Men if this is the way they're going to write her. It had a decent ending without being any kind of ending that made sense. And I would hope to see some deaths in the next issue from what they show me as the ending. Either way, like I said, I didn't hate the book. It wasn't great, just kind of there. Guardians of the Galaxy 150. Now, we're getting into the Infinity Quest here. Okay, that's cool. And at some point, the Guardians of the Galaxy show up in their own book. I mean, there's a ton about the Nova Corps. Even Rocket Raccoon dressed as one of them. Gamora shows up. I remember, there's something that happens with Drax, but mostly this is really setting up for the story. It's almost like it's not even a story itself. It's just, here's some characters and we're about to do something, but we're not really doing anything now. We're just going to tell you why this person is going to be doing what they're going to be doing later. And it's actually not bad. It's just way too much of a setup for something that's coming rather than have anything happening really in this book itself. Bombshells United, Chapter 19. This has been good. I've been enjoying the story where we're meeting with Black Adam and we get to meet Mary Marvel and such. They don't call her that really here. They call her Shazam, and that's cool because, that's the nature of the Bombshell storyline, so you just kind of enjoy. You either can take it or leave it, but there's just differences within this particular universe. But yeah, it's entertaining. It's lighthearted. It does look like they're really not taking it seriously, but in all honesty, it kind of plays to the writing as well. I guess what I'm saying is it's simple fun without any kind of pretension. And for $1, okay, yeah, this time around it's pretty good. I wouldn't recommend the earlier issues, but now, yeah, Bombshells United, not bad. Nightwing number 36. So, right away, Nightwing is shot. He's after this tall guy in a white suit who seems to be able to get people to do anything by offering whatever they desire. Apparently, he's got some sort of power that he can manipulate people with because he never actually gives them anything. But it's a pretty good investigation. Yet the Nightwing parts are the boring parts. I mean, it's not really boring, but the more interesting parts are watching this guy walk around manipulating people. The way he gets into the mayor's office and the discussion between those two are far more exciting than the other parts. And also there's this Shark Boy in there that is just intriguing. It's weird when you have a good book, yet the star of the book is the least interesting part of it. The Rise of the Black Panther, number 1. Now, I've done a full-length review of this. Check it out. Basically, this is a book that says it's one thing and ends up being another while still being the same thing. I know that sounds weird, but it really is. It wants to tell us the origin or the rise of the Black Panther, yet we don't actually see the people taking on the mantle of the Black Panther. We don't see the origins of the Black Panther. What we see what we are finding out is the origins of T'Challa. And I know that is who the Black Panther is to us, but the Black Panther supposedly has been around for generations. What we get is decent, but it's not going to knock your socks off. Phoenix Resurrection #2. Wow, there's this really good story here about a young woman who works at a diner who's having strange things happen to her, and I think she's discovering herself and finding out that she's not what she's always thought that she has been. And it's an interesting story, and I like the feel while I'm there with her, and the characters that surround her is just as interesting when a strange guy pops up who keeps popping in and out of her existence. And this is an amazing story that's surrounded by some really boring bits starring the X-Men. I have no interest in the X-Men in this story. All of it happens in this diner, in this small town with this girl. And of course it's Jean, but they really do ignore just the good part of it to go deal with the boring stuff. And at points they say, hey, we're going to break into teams. And you see Team 1, or they're calling them blue, red, yellow, whatever. Team 1 has a strong guy, a mentalist, or an energy blaster. Or point being is they've got all of these diverse powers. And then they've got Weapon X, which is Wolverine, Sabretooth, X-23, and they're all the same person, basically. I'm like, okay, so what made you think that these are the people that need to go into the Arctic? Why would you do that? And it just so happens that's the one that, hey, there's another Wolverine, so it just happens to work out. You know, it really just doesn't seem like there's rhyme or reason to the X-Men scenes, and they should stick with the Jean Grey stuff. The 4-star books are good. I can easily recommend them. I think they're pretty strong. Check them out. Dastardly and Muttley #5. All right, this is another book I picked up from Jack, and I gotta say, it's better than what I remember. When I read the first issue and the second, I was like, oh, this is garbage. It really is not good. But apparently it's found its stride. I mean, it's a weird book. This is... and it starts off weird, but it feels weird just to be weird. And I'm not a big fan of that. Give me a reason as to why all of this stuff is being done. Now, it could be a case of written for the trades-itis that made it like that made the first 2 issues so bad. But this one, okay, we're getting an explanation for things, and that explanation just seems like it's fun as hell. So... yeah, bring on the demons that are shaped like Looney Tune cartoons and Disney cartoons. I'm in. Deathstroke Defiance #27. So, yeah, another one that I got from... I'm just going to say this in front of all of them, because it's basically me saying, I have not read the previous issues, so I'm coming into this completely blank for a long time. Well, not completely, because I read the first few. But for the last seven months now, I have not picked up a Deathstroke issue, because that was Jack's title. Anyway, this is cool. It's just, to me, it was just a retelling of the Judas Contract and the history of Terra. Now, I don't know if they've played this out. Maybe it was in the Lazarus. He does mention the Lazarus Contract, so it might have played out there. I have no idea, but I liked it. I thought it gave us an insight that we did not get when we read the Judas Contract. So to me, this was just a little icing on the cake, so to speak. Yeah, good solid book. I think I enjoy DC Superhero Girls just a little bit more than I should. And Spaced Out has been fun. This is chapter 4. But I realized, I think, why I like it so much as I was looking at a Carmine Infantino Batman book. And that is because it reminds me of the Silver Age. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's written towards children, but it is just simply fun. It's not going to blow the doors off of anything, but it is entertaining. And it just, yeah, like I said, it's fun for fun's sake. There's no pretension to it. It's entertaining. You get all the heroes. You know, now they play up the Jessica Cruz insecurities a little bit much. And, of course, Beast Boy is what they made Beast Boy in the cartoons, not what he was in the comic books when I enjoyed him. But overall, yeah, DC Superhero Girls, gotta give it a thumbs up. Superman number 38, Super Sons of Tomorrow, Part 4. So the story's great. You know what you're gonna do. It's actually a really strong crossover. I do wonder when we're gonna have somebody think that they need to take Tim Drake out if he's going to be a continuous future villain from the future. At some point, people are going to, hey, you know what? He's a problem. Maybe we should take him out, and then they'll have a story about, you know, Super Sons of Tomorrow prevention. I don't know, but what we get here is fine. You've got basically the Teen Titans find Damian and John, and they take him to the fortress. There's Superman. He's trapped in a red kryptonite bubble, and that's when the Super Sons of Tomorrow come in to try to, or the Teen Titans, I should say, of Tomorrow come in to get them. It's a good action book. Not a lot of thought needs to go into it to enjoy it. Star Wars number 41. Well, now Star Wars continues to be good, but it's kind of a mixed bag for me because I still find the art a little bit distracting. I mean, it really is almost photogenic. It almost looks like those magazines that would have the pictures from the movie and they would just have the word. I mean, it's really that good. I'm going to just have to admit that it's just good, even if it is a little bit distracting on how dang near realistic it is as far as the characters are concerned. I mean, it looks good. You can see this. This is just a structure, and it still looks fine. The story as well. I mean, we actually get to see Luke on his journey between films and how he actually becomes a Jedi. And that, to me, makes the books. The book are the real Star Wars. If you're not a fan of the movies, definitely pick up the comics. Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica. This is another miniseries that's just been getting better and better. This is number 4, and it's after the party. They're running around. They have switched bodies. So you got Harley and Poison Ivy and Betty and Veronica's body and vice versa. The only ones that are really mentioning the age difference, however, are the older ladies, Harley and Poison Ivy. I would have expected them to kind of have more of, I mean, you know, bodies are different when you get older, that's all. But they do deal with a lot of the people who know us as them don't really know we're the other people in this. Reggie is going crazy and thinks he's the Joker. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of fun. It really is. This is, if you haven't been picking it up, when the trade comes out, this is definitely a story I think you could have a lot of fun with. The Jetsons, number 3. So I've been on a kick on this, but DC and Hanna-Barbera kick ass with together. Even the one that kind of left me was decent enough, and that was the Snagglepuss. But the Jetsons, this may be the pinnacle. This may actually be the best of them. Now, I love Future Quest, but the Jetsons is weaving a really deep story. And what's the funny thing is, you think they're going to go in one direction, they just twist it on you. And it's a delight to be able to read a comic book that keeps you on your toes while still entertaining you and giving you all of the information you need for that issue. Justice League 36. So we have the Justice League on trial, as they say here. Now, this is a story I've seen done before. I like the fact that they're actually bringing in things that would be a problem for superheroes. You know, I mean, they're vigilantes, basically, and not exactly constitutional. And some person actually says, hey, you know, I can't arrest somebody because Blue Beetle beat the crap out of them, delivered them to the police, and said, hey, they're criminals. People have rights. And I agree with that part. Of course, they face also the fact that there's a copycat Batman going around killing those who speak out against the superheroes. The big mystery is who is the fake Batman. I do like the fact that some people are saying it could be the comedian. That would be an interesting twist going on with the Doomsday Clock. Either way, it's an interesting story. It's done pretty well. It's a solid book. Not great, but good. Injustice 2, Chapter 39. Just talk about a miniseries that's chugging along. I don't even know if you can call this a miniseries. It's just, I guess you can't, right? Anyway, it's really chugging along. And this time you have Batman versus General Zod. It's a really good fight, and the ending is quite something. It's kind of out of left field, but it works. Especially when they show you a little bit of behind the scenes and how what ends the fight is supposedly happened. But it also tells you that if Ra's al Ghul has this kind of power behind him, that the good guys are definitely in for a big challenge. Overall, yeah, I can recommend Injustice 2. I mean, it's a 99-cent per chapter thing, but it ends up being pretty damn good. Black Bolt number 9. I gotta say, this is continuing to be an excellent series. However, there are always roadblocks, and in this case, we get one. Now, there's an amount of emotionality in this story that I did like. Seeing Titania meet up with Black Bolt, she's asking where Creed is, the Absorbing Man, her fighting Black Bolt because she thinks he did something to her. All of that was awesome. I loved the beginning of this story a lot because it kind of paints the villains as normal people. When she's going around and they go to a bar and tell people who knew the Absorbing Man, it just makes it more human, makes it more as just somebody who is actually walking around the streets and not just showing up when it's time for the hero to have somebody to fight. When it got to the funeral, it was more of, okay, you know, soon he's going to be back in some other adventure anyway. So that part kind of fell flat. But overall, this is a pretty strong book, and I could still recommend Black Bolt. I have to admit, I was expecting this to happen, and it did. Green Lantern's number 38. I have mentioned this in some reviews before. This used to be Jack's. Now I'm reading it. This is the first time out of the gate. So I knew that at some point there would be a comic book where I would read it, and I'd be completely lost. And the only hope I would have is if that book can really keep me, just bring me in and make me understand what's going on by reading that one issue. And that's hard to do these days because a lot of things are being written for a trade paperback, so if you're coming in the middle of a story, you're lost. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, I should say, this caught me up. I got a great idea of what had happened before and what was going on now to get me into the story. So I've got to admit, that's strong writing. And I have to recommend the book just based on that alone. Spider-Man number 236, Sinister Six Reborn. So we've seen, what, 4 or 5, I guess, members of the Sinister Six in this one. I gotta say, I enjoy Spider-Man. I do. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did before I started reading it to review and everything. It's had its ups and downs, but overall it's entertaining, and that's the way this book is. And I think part of the entertainment comes from the fact that it's just completely unpretentious. It's just enjoyable. There's no big message here. And I like that. So in this one, you have, what's her name, Bombshell? And she's trying to stop her mom from something, and then Iron Spider shows up. And they basically just start fighting. Now, it's the daughter's fault. But they do. And yeah, it's a good book. It's fun. Plus, we get a little tete-a-tete, I guess, between Sandman and Electro, the new Electro, the female Electro. And I like that. I like the fact that Sandman is like, well, I've been doing this for years, and what I say is right. It just kind of nailed it, you know. But yeah, that was my favorite part of it, as a matter of fact, the interaction between Sandman and Electro. Overall, pretty good book. The 5-star books, well, they're excellent. They do exactly what they set out to do, and they do it perfectly. Iron Fist number 76. Now, I've sung the praises of this book for almost a year now. Ever since it first came out, it's really hit me. It's really just been such a great book. Cover's cool, too, here. And this is almost like a culmination of the entire year, where we have the war for Kunlun. It is just a massive brawl. This is like just kung fu fight after. There's one interesting page where there's a fight going on, and the moves that they use are in silhouette on the page, as well as the big panels. It's very interesting visually that this book is, as well as the fact that even though it's packed full of martial art fights and other fights, it never loses touch with characters. Even when it comes to the villains that we've met before, it really does meld both story and art to perfection. Batman White Knight number 4. It is rare that a book continues to get better and better as it goes, but White Knight has been kicking ass from issue 1 on up. I've got to say, if you are not reading this book, you are missing out. And it does survive the issue to issue. You know, if you're waiting for the trade, I guess now would be the time. But damn, this is good. So we find out that Napier's plan is to bring Batman and the GCPD together so Batman has more culpability. Okay, that's actually not a bad thing, especially after the realization that there's a $1 billion budget to take care of property damage. But you would have to think that that's normal in the age of superhero anyway, that a city would have to have that kind of budget just for that kind of thing. So we either have to be living in a universe where Batman is the only superhero for that truly to work, because otherwise it shouldn't be such a scandal. So that part I don't buy into as much. Still, that's not enough to bring this excellent book down. Those are all the reviews. Now let's check on the scores. DC Comics had 1 1-star, 3 2-stars, 5 3-stars, 9 4-stars, 1 5-star. There were 19 comics in total with a score of 63 and an average of 3.32. Marvel, on the other hand, had 1 1-star, 2 2-stars, 7 3-stars, 3 4-stars, 1 5-stars. There were 14 comics in Marvel's stable this week. The score was 43 with an average of 3.07, meaning the first week of 2018, January 3rd, goes to DC Comics. That's my opinion. What is yours? What did you think I was wrong about? What do you think I was right about? Is there anything that you would have graded higher or lower? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, you want to see more, click like, click share, subscribe, you know the drill. And if you haven't done it already, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Cool things happen around here. And if you are subscribed and you just so happen to cross this video, hit that notification bell just to make sure, because YouTube's been screwing things up. Also, this is the way we make a living, so if you don't mind going on over to Patreon, drop $1 in the till. Helps keep the lights on, helps keep making videos. The description's in the link below. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.